Hey everybody, Jonathan Cummings here from The Troubadour's Journey. What is new and exciting with me? This is video 2 of this whole process of trying to destroy the villain of Hal, which is what we've been talking about here. Before we actually get into the tool on this video here, I really want to explain the history of this a little bit more, really where it comes from, how you can use it, how I've used it. We're all going to do that right here on The Troubadour's Journey. I'll see you right here in 15 seconds.
Your song's telling you just sing with me.
So NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It was actually formed back in the early 70s by two people, Richard Bandler and another scientist. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I've studied this stuff. But one of them was a therapist. The other one was a scientist that specialized in linguistic studies. And they noticed that their patients differed wildly on the length of time that it took them to have some type of result or breakthrough. And that discrepancy really put them in a study of what makes people tick. Why are there some people who can be the greatest gold Olympic person in the world, and then another person who has the same mind, the same neurological system, the same 2 arms, 2 legs, and so forth, that person really can't figure out how to achieve anything in their life. And that really led them to creating this science of neuro-linguistic programming. Now, like I've alluded to before, when Tony Robbins was introduced to this material, he mastered it, and then he decided to... the thing that Tony Robbins did not like about neuro-linguistic programming was the programming part, right? And he said that he looked at it as if it was or the people who were using it, the people who were teaching it, looked at it as if it was sort of a religion, right? Like it was like this silver bullet that never failed. And in a lot of cases, in most cases, it doesn't. It works because it's based in a very good science and very good research. But what Tony Robbins did was he changed it from neuro-linguistic programming. He created his own brand of it and called it Neuro-Associative Conditioning, right? Which is a little bit different. It's a little bit a different way of looking at it, because rather than doing these exercises or these techniques once and you're cured, right? Bam, you've done it. Okay, you'll never smoke again. Bam, you've done this thing. Okay, you're no longer afraid of heights. Rather than it working like that, he looked at it more of something that you would have to condition. Because if you leave your subconscious mind alone, and if you leave your neurological system alone, it will have a tendency to start to come back to the places that it's comfortable with, which is overeating, or being scared of spiders, or smoking, or whatever it is that you used neuro-linguistic programming to get rid of. So he looked at it more of a conditional standpoint. And Tony Robbins actually took that science and the ways that he had altered it, and that is really what a lot of his career was based on. He literally helped and cured and changed the lives of millions of people probably to this day. He's a genius, and so is Richard Bandler, the guys who created it. All of the people who have led up to this point is really geniuses. It is one of my goals, actually, at some point, to actually get my certification in NLP. I'd like to just be certified in all of the stuff that I already know, and it's something that's on my list of things to do, and I'm too busy to get around to it. But back to our story here. I look at everything through the window of the fact that we're not programmed like computers, as you well aware of if you've watched enough of my videos. We are more like nature. We're Earth. We have to adhere to the natural laws of physics and of the universe. Those natural laws are things that I don't call them laws, I'll call them universal attributes, right? Instead of the law of attraction, for example, I call it the universal attribute of vibration. And I've explained that in a previous video, how it's not really a law, just like gravity is not really a law. If I drop this pencil, it'll fall. Is that the law of gravity? No, that's gravity. The law of gravity is all of the math and the writings that we humans have created to explain what gravity actually is. Gravity is a universal attribute. It's unchangeable and it can't be broken. You can break a law, right? You're out speeding, you get a ticket. Why? You broke the law. When is somebody going to give you a ticket for breaking the law of gravity? It's not going to happen. Gravity is a universal attribute. The law of attraction is the universal attribute of vibration. And when we get into neuro-linguistic programming or neuro-associative conditioning, what we're really talking about, we're talking about the natural laws that our human bodies and minds and hearts and spirits have to adhere to. Okay? And the greatest thing about being a human is we don't have to adhere to them. We make a choice to do so. Now let me explain what I mean by this. A dog is a stimulus response animal. If you trigger something, if the dog sees a certain animal, it'll attack it. If the dog sees another type of animal, it will flee from it. It operates on instinct. This instinct is literally created from the fact that a dog is incapable of making decisions. If you lay a slab of meat down in front of a dog, it has no choice but to eat it. It can't make a decision not to, right? Us humans can make those decisions. There are literally 4 areas where humans are unique from any other animal on the planet. One is our ability to envision the future. Other animals can't do that. We humans can look at the future and we can determine that that's something that we want to achieve, and we can set goals in order to get there. No other animal on earth can do that. An animal cannot envision its future. Now you may be saying, hold on a second. Ants can build whole entire ant farms and villages, and they can predict the weather and all that. Yes, but not only is all of that stuff done on instinct, it's also something that not a single ant can do. It takes 100,000 ants to do that activity. All of those ants, when they come together, they operate pretty much like our brain cells, right? If you have a thought in your head like I want a hamburger, you can't go into your brain and find the neuron that thought that thought, because neurons don't think. Neither do ants. But when thousands of them come together, they can suddenly predict the weather and build structures. They can have queens and do all of this activity. But that is still not envisioning a future and working towards its goal. Only humans can do that. Vision is the first human attribute. It's not a universal attribute. It's a human attribute. The second one is conscience, right? Humans have the unique ability to do something and then feel guilty about it. And then we can make sure that we don't do that in the future because we remembered how we felt the last time. And if we're taught conscience from an early age by good parents or by reading wisdom teachings, and it doesn't matter what those reading wisdom teachings are. It can be the Bible, it can be the Quran, it can be some other book of wisdom that your particular beliefs adhere to, that teach us what's right and wrong. But keep in mind, humans have a tendency to know right and wrong on the big things before we're taught them. And that's something that only humans have. Dogs can be taught to do something. They don't know it's wrong. They just know that its master is going to punish it if it does it. And so it doesn't do it. But it doesn't have conscience. Now, the third thing that is a human attribute, not a universal attribute, but a specific human attribute, is the ability to be self-aware. And self-awareness, only humans have this, right? Dogs are aware, but they're not aware that they're aware. Humans are the only creature on this planet that we are aware that we are aware. We can step outside of ourselves and look into ourselves and see ourselves from another perspective, right? Self-awareness. Very difficult concept to explain. Takes a lot more than a small video to do that. And then the fourth attribute that we have is our free will, right? The ability to sit there and look at a steak and go, you know what? I am really hungry, but I'm really on this diet and I'm going to choose not to eat that steak. So free will, right? We have the free will to do what we want to do outside of our own instincts. We do have instincts. When we smell good food, we do want it. So we do have instincts, but we have these human attributes that causes us to rise above that behavior. Now, what neuro-linguistic programming does is it takes us back to our stimulus response roots that is in our animal mind, right? That is in our reptilian brain, that's in our mammalian brain. And what it does is it says, okay, if we can be a stimulus response type creature, let's control it. Let's determine what type of response I want to have. So we're using our free will, we're using our vision, we're using our conscience, we're using our self-awareness to look at a situation and saying, I'm a salesman. Every time the door slams in my face, I feel horrible. What if I could train myself to feel amazing every time a door is slammed in my face? Wouldn't that make me a better salesman? Because the more doors you get slammed in your face, the closer you are to getting a sale. And I don't even know if salespeople go door to door anymore. They probably don't in today's world, but the concept still applies. So I'm going to end that video here, and on the next video, the third video in this series, I'm going to actually teach you how to use this tool to take the villain of how, that big villain of how am I going to do that? How is it going to happen? How, and really reduce it to nothing. Okay? And we're going to do that on the next video. I will see you then right here on the Troubadour's Journey. Please like this video. Please subscribe if you're enjoying this information or if you're getting any benefit from this generation. And remember, don't die with your song still in you.
Don't you die with your song